Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme: it's win or bust for Celtic in Germany. How do you stop Messi and Neymar? That's the problem for Pep Guardiola in Manchester. And there's the small matter of the Renfrewshire derby to talk about as well. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. I'm delighted to say Alec Ray joins us to talk football tonight. Champions League is the order of the day. Win or bust, and I don't think anybody is debating that one, Ruffy, between Borussia Mönchengladbach and Celtic.
Yeah, it's trying to get into Europa Cup. That's the objective. I think we would all agree, in light of the first game that we saw, it's going to be a hard shift for them. I think Celtic are going to have to prove to everybody that they can defend away from home in Europe. They've proved that they can't so far, with the game in Israel and the game obviously over in Barcelona. So I think Brendan Rodgers has got another plan B or C or whatever you want to call it. So it'll be interesting to see if they can, sit in and frustrate teams, because we know what they are going forward. We know they can hurt sides, so I think it'll be a big shift tonight.
Well, Alec, as you know, as a player, there is a learning curve as you gradually go up as a level in class. What do you do as far as Celtic are concerned when you're outclassed in the first game and then you have to go into the Borussia Park Stadium?
I think the key thing, Peter, is caution really. I don't think you can open up too early. It's usual, you want to quieten the crowd down, try and start to build your way into the game, but it'll depend really on if Raphael and Hazard make it back as well. They're obviously two of their star players. There's a question mark over their fitness at the moment, but the boys that came in at Parkhead, I'm really impressed with Borussia. I thought they were really, really good. They shifted the ball really well. And it's not often a lot of teams go to Parkhead and do that. So I think it's a full house as well, 50-odd thousand people. So it'll be a really difficult night for Celtic, I would imagine. Yeah,
here is, of course, the Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers' take on the game.
Playing to win, I think that's the key focus for us. We're not playing the game not to lose. It's a game that we go into and we want to win. The game, of course, like you say, they played in 4 league games and haven't scored a goal. And if you look at the game as well as they played, if we don't make mistakes, then there's possibility they don't score in that either. But for us, we know that in order for us to be able to compete at this moment, at this level, we need to really be have our A game. And there was no doubt the last game they were better than us overall over the course of the game. So for us, this is a great challenge for us to come into this. We know that if we don't get the result here, then it's going to be difficult for us, of course, in the other games. But we arrive into it full of confidence and knowing that what I've seen with this team is that they learn and they learn well, and hopefully, and what will be a tough game for us, we can get a good result.
I don't think Brendan Rodgers is shirking the reality of the whole situation. What he did go on to say, which was of interest as well, Ruffy, is the fact that he reckons Celtic are going to take 1, 2, 3 years where he wants to try and make them an almost certain side for the latter stages of the Champions League.
Yeah, it's good management. He's letting everybody know what's going to be happening, not now, because everybody can see that with their own eyes, but what's going to be happening in the next 2 or 3 years. But I think the Celtic supporters will be hoping they can get something, because you want to be in Europe to at least January, but it looks a miles away now. We keep talking about Borussia in the first game, and all credit to the manager, he held his hands up. They were far superior, so you can't see them being anything else but that tonight. And obviously, as Alec was saying, the 2 other players might be coming in, so I think it's a hard shift.
Yeah, the other aspect of this as well is he will be able to utilise the money that he's getting from the Champions League, Alec, to strengthen even further January transfer window and in the summer as well. So if anything, Celtic fans, I think, will cut him a bit of slack if this all goes pear-shaped here.
I think the key thing for Brendan Rodgers and the Celtic fans was just to get into the group stages. There was a bit of optimism on the back of the 3-3 with Man City. I think when you listen to Brendan there when he was saying they hadn't scored 4 goals in the league game in the Bundesliga, it's a completely different proposition. You look at some of the teams there getting 60, 70, 80,000 fans. That's a league that is very competitive, and I think you're right in what you say about Celtic, though. They'll get these finances to maybe get another couple of investments in with good players coming in the door. And I think domestically they'll just get stronger, but to compete at that level is a different ball game altogether.
I think the good thing about this manager is he won't sit still. You know, where other managers might have just accepted that we're the best here, I think he'll want to push on. I think he'll want to push on in Europe, which means he'll probably go out and buy better players, and that'll be a good thing for the supporters.
Yep, and of course one of the players that he's brought in has certainly impressed the Celtic support. Scott Sinclair's under no illusions about the magnitude of this game tonight.
You think if Celtic want to progress from this group, you'll have to win tomorrow night?
100%. I think we need to win. I think it's inevitable that we need to win the game. For us to further on to go in and sort of make sure we win and progress in this competition. Like you said, we have to win.
Okay, gut feeling on this. Always get worried when we make a prediction and then the repeat either makes you look really unbelievably silly or not. But the facts are these. We're not too far away from kick-off. I thought they would struggle to get a point in this group. Ruffy, they've managed to get 1 point. What's the chances of getting anything from Germany?
I think that would be the best they could get. You know, we've already touched on, okay, they don't score many goals, and probably, you know, in the Parkhead game, if Toure hadn't made the 2 mistakes, they might not have scored there either. You know, but they had chances, they had a few chances, and I think they'll get a few chances again. I think Craig Gordon will be a big player, as will the defence, but I think they could probably sit in and probably 1-0.
I actually think it could be a comfortable win for the Germans. I think maybe 2 or 3-0. I think just for the point of view is that, you know, that they're on home soil, they've plenty of confidence, and I fancy them 2 or 3-0.
Yeah, and the first and second place in that group at the Etihad Stadium. If Celtic are getting used to levels, then Manchester City, and I'm almost pinching myself suggesting this, Ali, but Manchester City are getting used to levels because suddenly Pep Guardiola is faced with the prospect now of looking at his old side and thinking, how do I stop Messi and Neymar?
Well, the great difficulty, you look at these guys, they do it week in, week out, but they also do it in the European level. These are like superstars, and I've got to be honest with you, I've been really disappointed with Man City at this level for the last couple of years, not just this season. You know, they flatter to deceive. You know, they're not getting anywhere near the latter stages as well. When you think about the finances that I've actually spent, they've been massively underachieving at this level. I know their focus will purely be on the Premiership, but they need to start getting to the latter stages, as is all the English clubs.
Yeah, you'll never believe this, Ruffy, and I'm going to give you guys a guess at this. There's Messi, Neymar and Suarez have played in 169 Champions League games. How many goals do you think they've scored, Ruffy?
3 of them. I would say 120.
120.
145 it is.
145. Honestly, there are some times when people just look at you and think, well, that must be right then, Alex. 126, actually, not a bad shout, Ruffy. It just shows you, you know, how lethal they can be. And strangely enough, though, I looked at the Manchester City side and I thought to myself, Alex, there's only 2 English players that potentially will start tonight's match.
Yeah, well, I think again that's going back to the English setup now. I think it's 73% of players are foreign based, and it's not good enough. They need to start blooding them, you know, because I think the whole infrastructure in England's kind of fallen apart because of it. But the product seems to be growing. But in terms of homegrown players, they're getting less and less.
Yeah, and again, I would counter that again, Ruffy, by suggesting that at the starting 11 for Celtic, only 3 Scottish players in it. You know, there's a couple of English players there, but there are only 3 Scottish players. You know, Brown, Craig Gordon, and James Forrest.
Yeah, I mean that's the way it is. You know, so you buy the quality that wins you games. You buy the experience of European football. I'm sure Pep will have another 4 or 5 that he'll want to bring in of a better quality than what he's got just now. But that might take him a wee bit longer. But I think they'll get a draw.
Yeah,
I really do.
What, tonight?
Yep. I thought when they were in the game until the goalkeeper gets sent off there, they had chances. I do hope he plays Aguero. I think they're good enough to get a draw.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm going to stay up and watch this programme again at 11 just to see what I think about you on that one, Ruffy. Listen, just before we get into the break, we're going to talk to you, Alec, about obviously hopes for getting back involved in football. We'll talk about the Renfrewshire derby involving your old club, St Mirren. But Frank de Boer has been sacked by Inter Milan, 85 days in charge, 14 games, albeit 7 defeats in that time. But I think we're going to be getting to in the future, you know, here's our manager, he's got 3 games to save his job.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. You know, Alec, more than anybody will tell you, going into a new club, you know how long it takes, you know, to get it right. It could take 2 or 3 seasons, but these maniacs that own clubs just don't see that, and it's ridiculous. It is. It's really.
Yeah. Don't hold back, Ruffy. Okay.
It's shocking.
David Moyes says after every defeat he goes into a darkened room. Must be pretty dark for a lot of managers at the moment. We'll discuss new managers going in and making an immediate impact, and we'll also discuss that Renfrewshire derby next. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Our bookroom guest tonight is former Rangers, Wolves and Sunderland midfielder Alec Ray. Of course, in his managerial capacity, he was at Dundee and St Mirren. St Mirren, your old club, involved in a Renfrewshire derby. It means everything to fans to win a derby. It meant everything to you to win a derby when you were a player.
Absolutely. It's, you know, I think one of the first things they said to me, they hadn't won a loss rather in 17 years, so good luck with that one. So it does put a bit of pressure on them, and it gives them the bragging rights. I've been invited down tonight, so I may take them up on that and take in my old team.
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to go there myself, Ruffy, to see this one. Of course, Jack Ross, this could be one of those key matches. When you look at games that you're looking to kick-start the season, they're sitting bottom, and, you know, nothing like a derby to buy you a little bit of time, but they want to try and get off that bottom position.
Yeah, I think obviously once it gets off the bottom, but it needs to get, as Alec will tell you, it needs to get fans on side, you know, and playing a game like this is the time when you do that if you win the game, you know, and when you're a new manager, get in there, it's always good to go into games with everybody behind you rather than behind you. So I'll be hoping he can get a win and kick-start the season.
Yeah, how difficult a job is it? I mean, I mentioned there, and I mentioned about Frank de Boer being sacked after 85 days, 14 games in charge. He's not the only one. There are more than a few managers who've suffered the same fate with a short period of time. Alan Stubbs is another one that springs to mind at Rotherham. From your point of view, I'm looking now and I'm thinking Alec Ray wants to get back into football, but people might look at that and might see it as, you know, a tarnish on the CV for you.
Well, that's interesting, Peter, because you see the tarnish on the CV, but I was speaking to you off air beforehand. I've actually got the highest win rate going back to 1982, Ruffy, so it is difficult. People don't see the dynamics. I think people go, right, okay, what was the win rate? But there's also dynamics going on behind the scene. You know, we'd lost the chief executive, reserve team manager, youth team manager, the board goes, I think it was 12 or 13 players go in the summer, 9 come in. So it's always a constant thing, you know. The board obviously left as well, and then a new board comes in. So that's all in the space of 9 months. So when you take all the dynamics in, I think you have to have time to put an infrastructure in, but unfortunately you don't get it. And these days it's a cruel world out there in terms of the football, but it doesn't dampen any ambitions to carry on in a football game. You know, I was with the under-19 Scotland over in Andorra this week as well, so it's very much part of my DNA. I come and do media stuff, I go and play fives with yourself, so very much part of my whole makeup, really.
Yeah, we're slightly biased obviously because we get an insight into you. Do you learn more about yourself there, or do you just get more frustrated because you want to try and impart your knowledge, trying to improve that team, and you just don't get the time? Well,
listen, the start of the season was extremely difficult with it. I think that it's fair to say the dynamics between the chairman and myself from day one didn't quite get off the ground, so you know it was always going to be difficult to get any period of time once the results didn't particularly go well at the start. But listen, we move on. It's not really that important to me, you know. I think it's important that we kept the club in the division last year. We tried to kind of freshen things up this summer. We never really got off to a terrific start. So listen, people make decisions, but to get 6 league games I thought it was quite harsh, but you know, I wish them well in the future. Yeah,
and with that in mind, just one little footnote to it before I talk about tonight's game. With, I mean, you can be a better manager if you get more players and things like that, but did you see an improvement? Did you see something that, you know, had you been given the time, could have been taken on?
I actually thought it was a better squad of players than I had last year. You know, we brought in some good players in the summer, you know, like Ryan Hardy from Rangers, Tom Walsh. We brought Kyle Hutton, who was the Queen of the South Player of the Year. So we brought some good players into the club, and with the nucleus that we managed to keep from last year. And I was just saying to someone the other day, you know, there's still 9 or 10 who played against Rangers and drew in the last game of the season 2-2. So there's a nucleus there, you know, because obviously they were the champions, a superior budget. So it's just getting them going in the right direction, getting the balance. And that was what we were finding difficult at the start of the season. There was too many individual errors, and no matter how much coaching and you do, it's kind of nullifying the errors and getting a wee bit of momentum going. And that's what Ruffy says. I think the key thing, if they can get a result tonight against Morton, it may well kickstart their season. Adversely, it could actually, you know, really hamper them going forward. So it's a big game for them tonight.
Yeah, and again, you know, derbies can produce all sorts of shock results, but this is a Morton side with a manager in Jim Duffy, who's, you know, received a lot of praise, and rightly so, for his efforts in the semi-finals of the League Cup, Ruffy.
Yeah, and it looked as if they weren't going to kick on for that in the league game, but they managed to dig it out and get the win at the weekend, which was good. Coming off a massive game like that, a semi-final, sometimes the heads can go down and you might lose a 2 or 3 games, but they've kicked back very, very quickly, and all credit to the manager and the players, and they'll be hoping to do that tonight as well.
Yeah, how do you see it going?
Yeah, I think Morton could win this one. Yeah, I think they've got everything going for them just now.
Yeah, you're not going to ask me that one, are you?
Do you want to say something? I was just about to say I'm not going to ask you, so don't bother giving me. Don't give me your opinion on it.
You want me to answer for him?
I don't want your answer for him either. What I do want to get your opinion on is, just briefly before we touch on other things, all things Scotland coming up. Yeah. You were away with the 19s. Did you enjoy that? Is there the potential to maybe go away again?
Well, listen, I thoroughly enjoyed it. We had 3 games, won 2 of them. I was just saying to Ruffy beforehand that it was great to actually get the flavour for what's coming through, what's out there, and I really enjoyed it, I must say. So hopefully somewhere down the line I may well get another opportunity. Yeah,
well, here's hoping on that one. Your old team Rangers, what have you made of them start to the season? Suddenly second in the table. You know what Scotland's like, knee-jerk reaction from one result to the next.
Well, listen, there was people predicting it 2 games a couple of weeks ago, which was absolutely ridiculous, and I always felt, because of Rangers' philosophy, the way they play the game, that we'd always see them through to second. I think the gulf between them and Celtic's just too far, and in quality with guys like Sinclair and Dembele coming in, I think they probably need a bit of investment, Rangers, to actually get closer to that level, which will be difficult because of the Champions League money that which Celtic's got. But in terms of the rest, if they continue to do that, they just seem to start kind of getting on the front foot a little bit now. They're conceding less as well. So, you know, if they can continue to get a little bit of a run, I think second's a realistic possibility.
And the best challenge, will it come from Hearts or Aberdeen?
I would probably say Aberdeen.
Okay, and of the players that are playing there, is there someone that has impressed you and maybe surprised you in that Rangers lineup?
Not really, Peter. I think I kind of knew them all. You know what you're going to get. I think the wee boy Holt's been a big plus coming back into the equation. He breaks from the middle of the park and creates a lot of chances going forward. He's legs in the middle of the park as well. So, you know, I think he's been one of the ones that can probably kick on. Yeah.
With England and Scotland coming up, Ruffy, it's strange sometimes, stories that emerge, a mountain out of a molehill, and I sometimes get bemused reading them. FIFA were saying that wearing a poppy for England and Scotland game was making a political statement. Thankfully, there seems to be some kind of backtracking on this, and both teams will be allowed to wear the poppy on an armband. I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it, but to show respect to people who fought in wars is not making a political statement.
Yeah, I don't get why it's political at all. I think it just shows you that sometimes some people in power are so far off it, it's unreal. And we all know what the poppy's about. It's about people who obviously die for their country, and that's why we all should wear them.
Yeah, and of course, I think respect people's right who don't want to wear them, but I think from our point of view in the collective and the country, there's a real groundswell of people who want to actually be able to do it. So an armband, I think, is the perfect thing. One of the things I'm really worried about is the Ferrari over the pink strip. I mean, honestly, who cares what colour? I couldn't care. I mean, what colour they're wearing. I'd rather, it's all about what's inside the strip that's what matters for me, Alec.
No, it was obviously the boys were wearing them over in Andorra, and it's a bit unusual to see a team playing in pink. However, listen, it's actually nothing really. I think the important thing is to try and get a positive result there. I think if we could get a win there, then it would be a massive result going forward, and it would give the nation a wee bit of belief.
Yeah, and with that in mind, and it's a hard question for a man like yourself who's gone through that managerial merry-go-round, Gordon Strachan, you know, people are saying it's one game to determine his fate.
Well, the thing is, I think if you listen to Stuart Regan in terms of, you know, it's only a couple of games into a campaign, but if they had to lose that, then it becomes very difficult going forward, just because of the environment, you know, we live in these days. You know, there would be a clamour for his head, you'd have the media thing. So, and what he had the fight to continue with a campaign which pretty much is lost, may well be down to Gordon's discretion. But listen, I think we have to be positive and actually try and get behind Gordon and the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the lesson today is not to worry about colours, just to concern yourself more with the substance that's wearing the colours. I'm almost certain that Ruffy and I agree that Alec, in pink, lilac, you come up with a colour that you want, even with a handbag. I'd still be scared of Alec Ray on a park. I wonder about you. Thanks to Alec. Let's hope, fingers crossed, he gets back involved in football, whether it's international or indeed on the domestic scene. So much to offer the game. He's our Bootroom guest. Join us tomorrow on the programme. We'll reflect on that big Champions League match between Borussia Mönchengladbach and Celtic. From Ruffy, from Alec and myself, good night.